Welcome to your introduction to first grade Knowledge Domain 2, the human body. We know this is likely your first time teaching this unit, so this video is designed to help you become more familiar with key content in the human body unit. Our goal is to ensure you are well prepared to plan and ultimately teach your students. By the end of this module, you'll be able to describe why this unit is important and how it connects to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Recognize how the unit fits into the overall sequence of learning for students, and determine what students will need to know and be able to do by the end of the unit. At the conclusion of this module, we'll give you a chance to reflect on how what you've learned about the unit will influence your planning moving forward. During this video, you'll want to have the participant notebook available so you can record your thoughts and responses. You can find the participant notebook in the same place you accessed this recording via Schoology. We recommend you print this document so you can jot down notes during the video. You'll also want to be able to reference your teacher guide and the student activity book for Unit 2. The images in this recording are meant to be supportive of your experience, but you can also, of course, reference your print materials if that's easier or more helpful to you. To that end, I'll be calling out specific page numbers throughout the video so you can locate your materials. Feel free to pause this video now to make sure you have your materials in front of you. Let's begin by grounding ourselves in the importance of what students will learn in this unit. In this domain, by listening, speaking, and writing about the human body, students will increase their vocabulary and improve their reading comprehension skills. They'll be introduced to a network of 5 body systems that together perform vital jobs. And students will learn about 5 keys to good health: eating a well-balanced diet, getting enough exercise and sleep, practicing good hygiene, and having regular checkups. In the first half of this domain, using an interactive approach, students will learn the fundamental parts and functions of the 5 body systems: the skeletal, the muscular, the circulatory, the digestive, and the nervous systems. The narrator of these read-alouds, a pediatrician whose name is Dr. Wellbody, will share rhymes and reinforce basic ideas about the human body. In the second half of this domain, the read-alouds will focus on care and maintenance of the human body. Students will be introduced to Edward Jenner and Louis Pasteur, whose discoveries aided in the cure of diseases. Students will learn how germs can cause disease and how to help stop the spread of germs. Students will learn about healthy habits related to hygiene, exercise, sleep, and, of course, eating. Students use the food pyramid and My Plate to create their own well-balanced meals. Let's now turn to how this unit connects to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our DEI and social justice guides, available on Schoology in the Resources tab, will help you explore how the human body unit brings diversity, equity, and inclusion to life for students. In the guide, you'll see a summary of how DEI and social justice is approached as students are introduced to the human body, its systems, and its care, things we share in common no matter who we are or where we come from. With some help from Dr. Wellbody, students also learn about feelings like nervousness and other reactions that they can and cannot control. They learn to recognize that there are feelings and reactions that all human beings share in common. There are also DEI questions such as this one that get students thinking about how scientists from a diversity of backgrounds can change the world for the better. Now it's your turn. In your own words, describe why this unit is important and how it connects to diversity. Feel free to record your thoughts in your participant notebook or discuss with colleagues. Pause the recording now to do so. Next, let's orient to some specifics within the unit. This unit contains 10 daily lessons. Each entire lesson takes a total of 60 minutes. The unit also includes 6 additional days, a 2-day pausing point following lesson 6, and at the end of the unit, a unit review day, a unit assessment day, and 2 days for culminating activities. These allow time to reinforce, review, assess, and remediate content knowledge. We anticipate you'll spend approximately 16 days total on this domain. As shown in this lesson at a glance table, each lesson in the domain is composed of the same distinct parts: introducing the read aloud itself, and the application activity. The lesson may be divided into smaller chunks of time and presented at different times during the day if you so choose. Again, each entire lesson requires a total of 60 minutes. The read aloud text is found in the teacher guide, and in gray highlighting, there are cues about using visual supports like you see here, clarifying vocabulary, and asking questions that will help unlock the meaning of the read alouds. We encourage you to read the text as written and avoid paraphrasing, even if the readings are challenging for your students to grasp. One of the purposes of the read aloud is to expose students to text that is likely beyond their reading comprehension, but still within their listening comprehension. In this unit, you'll engage students in daily read alouds using text found in the teacher guide. You'll scaffold students' understanding of the read aloud text using images from a digital flipbook and also image cards that can be displayed in your classroom. You'll have hard copy of these, but they can also be found on the CKLA teacher resource site. Teachers can also access digital components from the website for use during lessons, like this visual of the 5 habits of good health. Pages in the corresponding student activity book will also help students to organize their thinking about a read aloud story so they can comprehend, discuss, and write about what they've heard. The student activity book also contains other materials to help organize student thinking, and a caregiver letter to help everyone at home know what students are learning at school. This list from page 3 of the teacher guide shows all of the core vocabulary words in the human body domain. Bold-faced words here are featured in the word work portion of a lesson after the read aloud. You may remember from initial training that word work is a fast 5-minute deep dive into the definition of a word to help students internalize its meaning. Students are not immediately expected to be able to use all of the vocabulary words on their own. However, by repeated exposure throughout the lessons, they should acquire a good understanding of most of these words and begin to use some of them in conversation. Of course, it's a good idea for teachers to incorporate vocabulary words into daily conversation in order to increase exposure for students. In this domain, students will explore the genre of informational writing. They'll learn to identify important facts before, during, and after informational read alouds. Students collect information and practice note-taking using a KWL chart and other graphic organizers. They'll draw, write, or dictate one-sentence responses to read alouds that they will combine into a booklet. And students will be reviewing the writing process as they draft an informational paragraph about the 5 body systems they study. Now again, it's your turn. Name 2 to 3 takeaways you want your students to have by the end of this unit. Pause the recording now to jot down your thoughts or discuss with colleagues. Content within the CKLA curriculum is ordered so that new units build upon content and vocabulary from previous units, both within grade levels and then from year to year across grade levels as well. The result is that students develop vast background knowledge in literature, science, social studies, and the arts. Let's take a look now at how the human body unit connects to other units within first grade, as well as in other grades. In CKLA, student knowledge builds systematically over time. For instance, the knowledge and vocabulary learned in the human body unit in grade 1, you see here, will build upon the 5 senses unit from kindergarten, and will prepare students for the human body building blocks and nutrition domain in grade 2, and the human body systems and senses domain in grade 3. Pause the recording now to jot down your thoughts or discuss this question with colleagues. How does this unit fit into the overall sequence of learning for students? In first grade domain 2, students will engage in an end of unit assessment. Let's have a look at that assessment now. The unit assessment evaluates each student's retention of vocabulary words and the core content targeted in the human body domain. There are 3 parts to this assessment. The directions for the assessment begin on page 139 of the teacher guide, and the student pages can be found in the student activity book. Part 1 assesses vocabulary. You'll ask students a question using a word they've heard from the read-alouds. For example, when you ask, is the skeleton the frame that supports the body and is made up of the bones? In their student activity book, students will circle the thumbs up corresponding with a yes answer on page DA.1 in their student activity book. Similarly, in part 2 of the assessment, which evaluates student understanding of domain content, you'll read statements about body systems students have learned about, such as, what other pictures in the first row, beside the spine, show a part of the skeletal system? And students should circle the skull. In part 3, students match images of the 5 keys of health to their descriptions as the teacher reads and repeats each. The results of the assessment should guide your use of the culminating activities of the unit to either remediate or enrich and extend student learning. The culminating activities begin on page 142 in your teacher guide. Throughout the unit, students engage in a variety of learning experiences to prepare them to successfully complete the unit assessment. Preparation for the vocabulary section of the assessment includes hearing all of those vocabulary words in the read-alouds throughout the unit and doing associated word work activities for some of the words. Additionally, vocabulary words are defined and broken into tiers at the beginning of each lesson to help you teach them. Finally, vocabulary is also noted in take-home letters, where caregivers are asked to use the words with students at home. Assessments part 2 and 3 will require students to use their knowledge of content that they learned throughout the unit, and images, comprehension questions, and the application activities will prepare students to apply what they're learning before they get to that assessment. To be sure students are ready for the final assessment, there's a mid-unit pausing point day after lesson 6. It includes a variety of review activities as well as a mid-domain check on student understanding. If you like, you can pause this video now to review the pausing point, which starts on page 81 of your teacher guide. Formative assessments in each lesson, which connect to the lesson's primary focus areas and grade level standards, provide practice for students and feedback about how students are progressing. For example, there are exit passes like this one that will help you see what students are taking away from read-alouds and discussions. There are also a variety of formative checks for understanding embedded in lessons that prompt students to show what they're learning by participating in a simple activity, such as recalling a fact, as you see here, engaging in a think, pair, share, or following directions in a stand-up, sit-down activity. And finally, after lesson 10, there's a domain review day to ready students for the assessment, with instructions starting on page 136 of your teacher guide. This review includes a variety of activities such as image review, riddles, and story writing related to the vocabulary and the content of the human body unit. Name at least one thing now that your students will need to know or be able to do in order to be successful on the end of unit assessment. Pause the recording now to jot down your thoughts or discuss with colleagues. We hope this learning module was useful for you as you prepare to teach Domain 2, the human body. Of course, this is only the beginning. We also strongly recommend that you closely read the text within your unit as part of your preparation. If you'd like more guidance on getting to know texts more deeply before you teach them, check out the text talk protocol in your participant notebook appendix. And if you would like access to our templates for unit or lesson level planning, those are also found as links in the appendix of your participant notebook. Finally, what will you prioritize as you continue to plan for this upcoming unit of instruction? Pause this recording one last time to jot down your thoughts or to discuss with colleagues. Thanks for engaging with this video today. We hope you were able to accomplish these objectives during our time together, and we wish you well in your upcoming instruction with students.